Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smashi Business Show. I am Warid Ahmed, and today I have with me
Abdul Majid.
And it's Monday. It's the beginning of the week. Hopefully, we're going to have a very, very strong week. How was your weekend, Majid?
It was good. I finally got a lot of sleep. But apart from yeah, it was a very happening weekend. The winters are here, so outdoors are a great thing to do
It's
right
so
now.
cold.
Yeah.
You know, this morning, I think it was like 40 degrees, by the way, in
Nice.
the car.
Yeah, in the
was
night it's cold. I know for sure whenever I go out in the
extremely
night for
cold.
something.
It was horrible,
How was
but-
your weekend?
My weekend? Oh, it was lovely. Yesterday, I went to Wasl 51 in Jumeirah. I visited this new steak restaurant. It's called Steak on Me. And it was actually developed by a food vlogger. His
Nice.
name is Sultan Eats. And I find the entire concept really funny because he really said, you know what, I visit all these restaurants. Let me start my own thing. It wasn't life. It was changing. It wasn't life changing, but it was different for a change. Do you know what I mean? It was really good. And
Was the food good?
The food was okay. The steak was a little bit too chewy,
Oh.
even though it was medium rare. But it was fine. It was okay, and you actually get like free ice cream at the end. It was really nice.
Oh, free ice
But to be honest with you, the highlight of the night for me was when I was on my way there. I took a taxi. This is the first time this has ever occurred to me, Majid. But the taxi driver actually, the music he had Frank Sinatra on. And I was like, wow, he understood the vibe. He got the vibe. It was so lovely. It was nice. And then you know what he also did? He asked me where I'm from. I remember he was Ethiopian. His name was Jonathan. And I was like, oh, I'm Sudanese. You know what he did? 2 minutes right before we arrived to the restaurant, he plays this like very famous Sudanese song. He timed it, by the way. I could tell. I was just sitting there and he goes like, oh, do you know this song? Click. And it just plays. And I'm like, wow, this is great service. This is great service. So yeah, it was a really lovely
Once
night.
I had a chat with one of the taxi drivers,
Yeah.
and they told me that they get training on everything, from greetings to having chit chat.
Wow.
So they have training for that, and that's a very nice thing to hear, that they get training to talk to people, what to say, what not to say, what are the areas that you can ask. And so it's a whole training package
to
for
talk
even
to people.
Yeah, because sometimes the clients or the customers who sit in a taxi are chatty. So they have to talk to them because they need to show them a good side of hospitality and everything. So they get training on that. So I was like, yeah, that's a very good sign that you're training a taxi driver.
Yeah.
What to say and what not to say. What are the boundaries? You don't ask about this. You ask about this. So very nice. Again, everything that you see and hear in Dubai is exemplary. That this is how it's done. This is how even you run a taxi service. That you train your drivers to have communication
really amazing.
skills.
And like, by the way, like whenever I order a taxi, I use Careem, and obviously there's a taxi choice, and then after that I think it's
There's Comfort, there's Big One,
Comfort,
there's
and
Max.
then and it's like you'd think like, okay, if I choose the cheapest one and I choose taxi, you'd think that it wouldn't be just as comfortable as Comfort, but it's just as comfortable and it's just as nice. And it was like, honestly, I was so impressed. I was really happy. It's just the music, like his playlist, like everything. I was like, oh wow, like this is curated.
How much did you pay?
Oh.
A lot.
That's a really good question. See, the thing is that I live very far. Will not reveal it on live, but I do live very far. So it was.
Told us on the show a lot of
I
times that you
have?
live at
Oh.
the Mackles too.
Oh.
You've said it like
Call me
100
out,
times. I
call me
think.
out. Why am I just deeping that I'm
No.
not? But
yeah,
Damak Hills is very far from
so
everything.
it takes a lot of money. Yeah.
It does. It does.
Well, it's fine. Soon they'll
You
have
live and
a
you
blue
learn.
line.
One day
They're-
I'll drive.
Yeah, drive and metro and public transport. They're laying
They
out
don't
a whole
have
plan
metro.
for it.
They don't have metro in Damak.
Soon you will, most probably
One
in
day.
the next 4 or 5 years,
Maybe
you
in
will
Nashama.
have.
Maybe in Nashama, they'll do the metro there. That's
They
what
are
I
building a
predict.
blue line, but obviously after that they have plans for 2 other lines. I've just heard about it. There's no concrete announcement on anything, but they want to make it a 15-minute city. So even if you're living at the Mackles too, or Al Nahda, like the border
Let's
of
hope
Sharjah,
so.
they want you to go from there to the other corner, like near Abu Dhabi, in 15 minutes. So they will develop a city like that.
Let's
and
hope
then
so.
it'll be easy.
I hope so. Inshallah. Inshallah it will be. And for our first story today, if you're a football fan, this one's for you. You're going to be really excited about it. Manchester City has recorded very, very high revenues. So just this year, they've reported record-breaking revenues of £715 million for the past year, with profits of £73.8 million, marking another milestone in its commercial success. So their player trading income grew by 15%, which was driven by high-profile transfers such as Julian Alvarez is a 62 million pounds moved to Atletico Madrid, and João Cancelo's 20.5 million pounds transfer to Al Hilal. Now, something that you need to know is that Manchester City is actually backed by Abu Dhabi, and it's owned by Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and it's seen significant investments over 14 years, totaling to 1.5 billion pounds.
Yeah, it is one of the biggest investments that Abu Dhabi made in the time when Abu Dhabi was very little known. People didn't know they sat on a pool of capital. Manchester City, if I remember correctly, was one of the biggest acquirings in football by a Middle Eastern company or Middle Eastern backed country or anything. So I remember when they came, everyone was like, they'll bring money and only money, and money doesn't equal to titles. City have 8 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League title, they have won multiple FA Cups and everything. So I remember correctly the time when they came in and it was like, oh, they'll just bring money doesn't equal to title. Today you see that the investment that they made, they were saying it in a very bad manner, like, oh, they're just putting money. It wasn't money, it was an investment that they made. They saw that they could grow, and Manchester United and Manchester City.
Wasn't there a game last night?
Yeah, City lost, I guess. Not Manchester Derby, I didn't remember if it was there, but City was one of the bad teams in Manchester. City never won like too many titles. Manchester United under Alex Ferguson was the biggest club. But Abu Dhabi's investment showed that they believed in an idea, they put out a plan and they built on it. And the numbers show for itself. So we don't even need to argue now that whatever Middle Eastern countries, governments, even private companies, they touch turns to gold. It does, because they have a very nice investment plan. They make an investment, they think about it for the next 10 years. It's not just like, oh, we're putting money, we need it back in the next 6 months. They have a whole 10-year plan. Same with Saudi PIF. They also bought Newcastle United like nearly 3 years ago in 2020.
And they own, I believe, about 85% of it. That's a very high stake.
Saudi PIF buying Newcastle, everyone is like, oh, they'll put the money and nothing will happen. They've already become a contender for Champions League spots. They're becoming big. As soon as the money comes in, obviously you can hire better players, you can have better quality stadium, better, what do you call it?
Better players.
Infrastructure, basically, for them to train and be. So it's not about money only, it's about thinking of it as an investment, that once you make an investment, you will get money out of it.
Of course
nice
you will.
Move for Abu Dhabi.
Good if you guys are very interested in sports, we have Smashi Sports. Do make sure to check it out. Literally all things sports you will find on there. And we do have other channels too. Literally every kind of thing that you possibly like. If you're into style, Smashi Style. If you're into food like me, Smashi Food. But and for our next topic for today, Abu Dhabi's Hub 71 has expanded into the tech startup ecosystem with the launch of Hub 71 AI. And what it basically is it's this initiative to basically provide AI startups in Abu Dhabi and the UAE with infrastructure support. So basically, Abu Dhabi's Advanced Technology Research Council's AI 71 and G42, who's chaired by Sheikh Tahnoon, subsidiary Core 42, actually joined as anchor partners. And what is essentially happening is that AI 71 will provide compute power credits through its API hub, which offers pay-as-you-go access to the Falcon series of large language models and other tools. Meanwhile, Core 42, the subsidiary of G42, will support regional startups by offering cloud credits and access to advanced digital infrastructure for AI applications, including training and inference capabilities in multiple regions. Now, there are actually other backers of this hub who will also provide their own technical expertise. So there's going to be the Amazon Web Services, Google for Startups, and also NVIDIA. So there are a lot of tech power hubs working together here. We can
Yeah.
clearly see that. And just to give you guys more context on G42, they are the leading AI company in the UAE. And we're constantly, me and Majid, we're constantly seeing that their chairman, Sheikh Tahnoon, he's absolutely everywhere. Just very recently, he met with the CEO of SoftBank. He also met with the CEO of Apple. Just recently, they also acquired Botim. And, you know, I say Botim specifically out of everything because I know we all use it.
Yeah.
Everyone uses Botim, right? It's like my mom's favorite app. All my aunts, all my uncles, they all love Botim so much. I personally use Chimera, though. What do you use, Majid?
Botim. Everyone uses Botim.
I don't know. I love Chimera.
It's easy to
Chimera's my
access.
favorite.
And the voice quality, I guess, is better. Or maybe from the start, we've been only told that Botim works. But Botim is owned by AstraTech. AstraTech owns a lot of other, 2-3 other startups. Botim was acquired by AstraTech, actually. Botim, before that, was a private venture. It was acquired by AstraTech. And the main idea of this whole collaboration of so many companies, go to Hub 71 if you're a startup. That's my always, if you're Abu Dhabi based or if you want to be Abu Dhabi based, go to Hub 71. They are the leading providers of infrastructure. You get office space. They're the leading provider of network opportunities. I'm saying a lot of stuff about them like it's an advertisement, but it's not. It's actually a very nice hub, which I've read about a lot. That is why I know that whatever they do is for the goodness of startups. They have cohorts where they host a lot of startups, not even national startups. They have international startups which come in and set up offices in Hub 71 spaces. And they're only doing it because they know Abu Dhabi is like the capital of capital right now.
Yeah,
There is
they have
a
the
lot.
largest sovereign wealth fund, so it's
They
a good
have
place to
so
place
many
it.
people with capital right now in Abu Dhabi who want to invest, and then every big asset manager is coming to Abu Dhabi. So BlackRock, whichever name you can think of, they are in Abu Dhabi now.
Yeah.
So that is why this hub has become such an instrumental place. The main idea in simpler words of this is that AI71, again, Abu Dhabi's development company's small startup, and Core 42. Core 42 basically has $1 billion at its disposal. So
Wow,
G42...
1 billion in assets.
No. G42 started Core 42. Core 42 has $1 billion under them. They can use that money to invest in AI anything. AI infrastructure, data centers, they can invest in startups. So basically Core 42 itself sits on $100 billion. And they can invest in anything out of those 100 billion. And obviously the plan is to multiply it twice or thrice in the next coming 5 years.
It is a very smart partnership.
G42 is one big thing, then they have multiple things under it, and Core 42 is just one thing, which is a $100 billion giant. So imagine the value of G42. If they have a subsidiary of $100 billion, sitting on $100 billion, imagine what G42 is. That is why, as
That's
Word
why
said,
they're so powerful.
that is why Word said they're the biggest AI thing in
And
the
even their
UAE.
chairman, the fact that
Yeah.
they're chaired by someone like Sheikh
Yeah.
Tahnoon, who's absolutely everywhere and he's very revolutionary in this
Yeah.
field, they have all the support that they need and all the backing that they need. So
And-
we know that this will succeed definitely.
The interesting part is that Sheikh Tahnoon, he not only sits as the chair of G42, he's also the head of IHC, which is International Holding Company. They recently sold The Spectator. They own The Telegraph. So there's a lot of things that they have their money put in. So when we talk about diversification of assets, this is what is being done. They have 2 or 3 big companies, then they have subsidiaries which have specific plans and ideas and future targets that they have. So yeah, it's a very big giant conglomerate. Again, when we talk about $1.7 trillion of wealth in Abu Dhabi and having the biggest pool of sovereign wealth funds, this is what we talk about, like a smaller picture if I can tell you. But when you go into detail, you'll find out more. So I would say when you listen to us, do your research as well. Go to
Yeah.
these startups, find out how much money they have, and
They
if you
all
have
receive
any
a
idea.
lot of funding. Like even just very recently, actually, AstraTech, which actually owns Botim,
Botim,
and
yeah.
AstraTech, which itself is owned by G42, they received $500 million in funding from Citi.
Citibank. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the biggest tech funding in the Middle East ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And from that, what you actually see is that it's not the companies themselves that are doing well, but the investors themselves show a lot of confidence in their success in the future.
Yeah.
Because providing this much money, that's absolutely insane. You know that they're going to do well.
I remember we talked about it on Friday, I guess, that there's a very common saying that wherever BlackRock goes, you go. BlackRock came to Abu Dhabi just for the sole reason that there's so much capital sitting in Abu Dhabi right now, and in the UAE overall as well, and in the Middle East region on a macro perspective as well, that they want to be here. And they are planning to open, they have a Saudi office as well already. So we need to understand that this is, Abu Dhabi is the capital of capital, if you say it, but Middle East is right now the capital of capital, capital of the world as well in terms of capital. We'll come up with a good term for that as well.
Any company, Majid, I've noticed that receives funding from anything from Abu Dhabi always does well. Like for example, like we saw last year with Dhabi. Dhabi's actually backed by Mubadala, buy now, pay later. They actually received, I believe, $700 million in backing.
Yeah.
That is, you know that when they receive that funding, when they receive that investment, you know, they're going for success.
Yeah, the main idea is they don't, people think when they look at stories every day, they're like, oh, they're investing in everything. No, they look at what the product is.
Exactly.
If there is hope in
special.
it, yeah, they won't just invest in anything. They want to see a good product. And that is the smart investment from their side. They always find good products.
Have you ever used Dhabi?
No.
Same.
Thankfully, I haven't tried them, and I don't want to be honest.
I'm not comfortable with the idea. You know, I remember I met this guy in university, and he said that he tabbies everything.
People do.
Absolutely everything. Like 1 month, he doesn't just want to buy one shirt. He also wants to buy, I don't know, jewelry and this and that, and buy something for his girlfriend. He'll tabby it all. And I'm like, you're going to be tabbied every month, though. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with the debt.
See, the problem for me would have been, I would never use it. I still believe in a very hardcore pay cash or pay directly payments. I don't believe in installments. That's my personal idea. That never go for that because you don't know what the next day comes.
I'm trying to grow out of it. Because you're right, I used to think like you, but the more that I sit on this table and the more that I read about it, and especially I remember I was watching this video of how a lot of these businessmen, they were saying that like, use debt to your advantage. And it's like, why don't we do it?
See, debt for them is in millions and hundreds of thousands.
No, was it always?
It is. If you're
from the beginning.
I'll give you an example. If you want to start something, like if you have a business plan and you think you'll have to invest 500,000 in it, so you can debt service, like use banks, take 300,000 from there, take 100,000 from someone, or maybe a pool of friends, and 100,000 of yours. Then debt makes sense. But for a phone, 1,500 dirhams of debt doesn't make sense because you're not going to start a business with 1,500 dirhams.
A car would be nice, like paying a car with installments.
Paying a car, yeah.
I feel like
the only thing I've
really
done in debt or installments is a car in Pakistan, but that also I took a Sharia compliant, like everything and from Islamic banking. I was paying the rent, I wasn't paying interest on the car price. So yeah, all of that, all of those things, there's that is why we have BFMSI.
It's like, when do you draw the line?
It's very simple.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, when do you it all? I feel like it all depends on you, because like, for example, if I'm coming at it from a Muslim perspective, I do think of it the way you do, of like, you know, what if I'm gone tomorrow? Like, who's going to pay my debt? Do you know what I mean? But it's just, I guess, just the more and more I sit on this desk and I see how all of these rich businessmen, they use debt to their advantage. It's like, why don't we do it too?
Because they can. They're investing millions and thousands.
But not everyone started out big though.
No. My idea is, even if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Kiyosaki one, he doesn't tell you to get small debts like 1,500 dirhams or 4,000 dirhams for your phone. He tells you to take debt and invest in something. So you can't invest 1,500. Maybe you can buy crypto with it, but 1,500 dirhams of crypto, 1,500 dirhams of shares will only get you 100 dirhams maximum on a very good day. And that for that even you have to do day trading. That's like spending 7-8 hours on the stock market thinking, planning what to invest in. So even on a good day, you'll get 100 dirhams on 1,500 dirhams. So the idea is use debt. They're completely right. Use it. Everyone says it, but for a business. not for your personal payments. That's my opinion. Again, it's not financial advice. That's my opinion, because I think if I go for a business someday, if I launch something, I would go to a bank. And obviously, my idea is to go to an Islamic bank. Everyone has a different idea. We have DFMSI, that is Sharia index for Dubai financial market. So people who believe in Sharia compliant stocks, they trade there. They don't trade on the DFMGI, which is the Dubai Financial Market General Index. So Islamic banking is there. A lot of options are there. If you want to finance it in Islamic way, then Musharka and Mudaraba come in. I don't know if we should go into the details of that, but Musharka and Mudaraba, they come in. There's a lot of business. The Islamic finance itself is, I read somewhere in a report that it's like $1 trillion whole thing, where Islamic finance for cars, Islamic finance for house, Islamic finance for everything is there. So if you believe in that, fine. Debt, I think still, debt is good if you're starting something and you need a lot of money. For these payments, and the good thing is these guys, they don't take any interest. So they are quite Sharia compliant. Dhabi, Tamara, there's 2-3 more. They don't take any interest. So what the basic idea, what I found out is if something is 1,500, if you pay it over 4, it'll become 1,550. So they're not taking interest every month based on the interest rates. They'll just take an extra fee of splitting it into 4.
I see.
So everyone benefits. The shops benefit because they have more sales. Tamara benefits because it takes minimal fee out of it. And you can pay it over 4 months.
I don't like the idea. I just pay all at once. And
good idea.
Yeah.
Only pay for something that you have money for.
Exactly. And finally, for our final topic today, now we've seen how Saudi Arabia's public investment fund just very recently has acquired a 50% stake in Heathrow Airport. Well, actually now they're reportedly looking to purchase a 49% stake in Newcastle Airport in the UK, which is going to be sold for about £1 billion by the UK. Now, the reason why, when I take a look at this, it's very interesting. It's because, Majid, we just told you guys how they already have an 85% stake in the Newcastle football team. So when we're seeing this, they're only looking to expand it more. After Heathrow, they're only expanding that sphere of influence. And honestly, I love to see it. I really love to see it.
The main thing is, again, they're investing in startups as well, inside. But what I've seen, the trend is if they're investing outside, they're looking for very well-established businesses. They're not just going to, what I've seen in the last few years, I was reading a report yesterday. I got an email. It was a very nice summary of external investments made by Middle Eastern companies. There's a lot of newsletters I have, Enterprise, Akhbar. There's 1 million. Someday I'll share the list. But there is a whole list of external things. You can also watch it on Deal Room, Crunchbase. These are the things that I use to look at investments, what are being done. So a lot of Middle Eastern investments which went outside, which went to external like startups, mostly were in Europe. So America didn't get a bunch of it. That was the main idea. Apart from that, those startups were at Series B and C level. So they had already established a base. They already have traction. They already are making money. And then you saw Middle Eastern. Again, when we talk about Middle Eastern, Saudi and UAE mostly. Egyptian people also are investing outside. But these people, they're investing in startups which have established a base, are earning money, are generating revenue.
Can you even call them startups anymore?
Yeah, because they haven't exited, they haven't become unicorns. So that is why they are still startups, mature startups. Yeah. So they're investing in Series B and C. So even outside, they're looking for investments in startups which have established a base, which are getting revenue and are planning expansion. So they just put some money and get them into expansion. The interesting part was sometimes they were actually, for example, one of the, out of the whole list, one thing that caught my eye, I don't remember the names, but it was a Saudi investment firm, a venture capitalist firm, which invested in a startup to get them to expand into Saudi Arabia. So
that is smart.
Yeah, so they put money into the startup to expand into Saudi Arabia, so Saudi people can get that service here as well. So it's very interesting the dynamics of all this investment.
People, they will what I'm recently seeing, especially with the announcement of Apple planning to open flagship stores in Saudi Arabia. They're gonna start receiving all these services very soon. They're gonna start receiving all of these like very big giants, not just like startups, but also like big companies like Apple. But you know, speaking of startups, Majid, this weekend we had Seoul DXB. Yeah. So you know what? I felt so much. I honestly felt so much regret not going. My sister went.
Oh.
She actually very graciously offered to get me a ticket so I could come. And I was just like, no, I want to be at home. I don't want to go to any events. But I regret it. Fixed Dessert was there.
Oh, yeah.
I really regret it, by the way, because, by the way, when you purchase a Fixed chocolate, they're anyway 69 dirhams, I believe. You also have to pay a shipping fee and an interest fee.
Yeah.
So to get one bar, it actually comes around more than, like, even, I think, 70, 80. So I was like, oh my God, like I wish I got the chocolate. And I even called her. I'm like, can you go get it for me? And she was like it's out of stock. Like at 8 p.m., they were out of stock, completely sold out. I was very disappointed about that. But Thames performed there. Honestly, I wish I went. I got the FOMO. I did get that fear of missing out. I honestly wish I went. Would you have gone?
No, I don't like these things. And again, personal choice. I again prefer to stay at home. But yeah, I knew about Fix. I saw a story of someone.
And Sarah Hamouda was there.
Yeah, she was
That's
also there.
actually the founder of Fix.
Yeah.
She was there, and I was like, oh, it would have been lovely meeting her.
No, I've tried the
so
Fix chocolate,
special.
and I've tried the one or two now. The alternative.
I've tried the
Taste
noon
the same.
alternative.
They taste the same.
They don't taste the same.
They taste the same for me.
No, they do not. I do not agree with
I have
you.
a very bad, I guess,
I think
taste buds,
I
but
think
they
maybe
taste
the
the
taste
same.
is the same, but I feel like what distinguishes them is the texture. I feel like what Hamouda really got right with the chocolate, it's the texture.
Yeah.
The texture is so special.
Yeah.
But honestly, by the way, I think the kunafa one is so overrated.
Yeah, but it's a
the one with
cultural
peanut
icon
butter,
now.
the one with the peanut butter and kunafa,
Oh.
way much better. I thought that it tasted way much better. And I was like, oh my God, the kunafa one, I think it's overrated. I think because they hyped it up so much.
Yeah.
When I actually tasted it, I was like, oh. But I like the peanut butter one though.
I ate it here on the desk, and I ate the alternatives. All of them are very sweet. I don't know why. They should have some
You want it
balance.
to be less sweet?
Yeah, some balance at least. I shouldn't taste only sugar or whatever they're putting in it. I want to taste the chocolate. I want to taste the kunafa. I want to taste everything. But sugar is too overpowering in there.
Those are a lot of demands, Majid.
No. I guess if you're
I want
putting
to
like
taste
5
everything.
ingredients, at least
But
have
that's
them
what makes them
taste.
special though. It's that mix-up.
I thought I was eating sugar, to be honest. I could have eaten sugar and gotten the same sweetness in my mouth. There's a lasting sweetness that remains. I would love the chocolate sweetness to remain, like chocolatey, but it was sugary sweetness that was
But the noon ones are good. Try them out if you're ever like.
Noon one I haven't tried, but I have tried Fix, Fox, 2-3 other alternatives just to see what's the
Did
difference.
you find them in Global Village?
No, I didn't find it in Google. Just random shops. Whenever I see, I'm like,
Random
oh, cheap
kiosks.
version. Let me see how it is. Yeah, all of them have a very sugary aftertaste. So for like the next 15-20 minutes, you'll feel like you've eaten a whole full spoon of sugar.
You know what I think about it, Majid? I've never ever, like growing up, I've never been somebody who likes pistachio, by the way. I'm not a pistachio person. I like every other nut, but just not pistachios. And I truly feel like the entire hype around Fix and their kunafa chocolate has kind of brainwashed me into like eating pistachios. Because now, if you look at it, honestly, every single cafe that I visit, every place that I frequent, when you order a dessert, there's always some kind of pistachio in it. Like just 1 week ago, I was eating this pistachio chocolate bar where not only did they put pistachio nuts in it, but they also mixed the pistachio butter into the chocolate with Millie. And it's like, I feel like I've been brainwashed. Just because everyone's doing it, I'm just accepting it and I'm going with it and I'm having everything pistachio. And it's not, you know what? I've decided that like I know my roots and this is not for me. I don't know. I've just been doing it because everyone's been doing it. Right? Because you remember when there was a time where Lotus, like the Lotus butter, where Lotus was like everything for everyone? It still kind of is.
Lotus cake, Lotus cheese, Lotus
Right?
this, Lotus that.
It's still, my mom was, by the way, making Lotus cheesecakes like every other day. It was a big thing. Now I feel like that new butter has almost become, it's become pistachio.
Yeah.
It's moved on from Nutella, it's gone to Lotus, and now it's gone to pistachio, where the hype is around that now. I don't know. I feel like I need to de-influence myself because I've just been doing it because I'm like, you know, when you're in your brain, you're like, oh, everyone's eating something. You know, because I'm not a picky eater. So but I realize like, no, I'm not a fan of this. I don't know.
Coming back to the Saudi
Yeah.
PIF investment story, mainly the UK is trying to sell 49% stake, and maybe Saudi PIF will buy the whole stake. Maybe
I think they
they'll
will.
buy some part of it.
I really do, because they invested into the football team.
The idea that I get is they will come up with a consortium like they did for Newcastle. I remember there were 3 companies involved. There's RB Sports something, VC Capital something, and then Saudi PIF. The 3 came together and they bought the majority shares in Newcastle. So that was a very good move. The interesting part here is that Saudi outbought one of the partners. So it's now only Saudi 85% and RB Sports something at 15%. So in this maybe, and even in the Heathrow deal we saw, there were 2 partners. It was them and Adilia, the French company, infrastructure company. They both went together in. Aldia, I remember, forgot the name completely. But they are the majority stake owner, 27 something. Saudi is 15%. But I'm like 99% sure sooner or later Saudi will buy that stake as well and become a majority holder for Heathrow. And in this, there is a chance that we'll go within 2 or 3 companies, enter, make them buy, they will buy eventually. When there is good time to cash out for the other company, Saudi will buy that stake. And it's a very nice move. It's a very strategic thing that Saudi
It's not just,
PIF has been doing.
You know, when I take a look at this, Majid, I just honestly, it really does feel surreal for me.
Yeah.
Because what we're seeing right here, it's Arabic expansion.
Yeah.
Arabic expansion at its best in the most right way possible.
Yeah.
The right way that the West never did it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is not colonialism that
Yeah.
we're seeing, because that's how.
This is smart investment.
Exactly, it's smart investment, and I just love seeing it, because what we saw in the 20th century is that the West, you know, they expanded their influence through colonial power.
Yeah.
Very unfair.
They force people to sell it. They are actually
Exactly.
buying it when people are
Exactly.
selling.
Like this,
Yeah.
you know, this is a sign of real wealth, amazing wealth. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like it's a takeover,
Yeah.
but a righteous one.
Yeah.
I call it a righteous one,
Righteous
because
takeover,
when I take a look at what the West did and how they expanded their sphere of influence, it was so unfair.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So seeing the way that they're doing it, not only are they doing it, they're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, these are our topics for today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production under the Augustus Media Podcast Network. You can find our newsletter on Smashi TV, and you can also find us on X and on Instagram and on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Please make sure to tune in.